Well, the conversation with regard to the burial of the late president Edgar Chagwa Lungu seems to be dwindling down in terms of public discourse. For a while, I think the past 1 month really doesn't been making that much news. The last conversation that we had about this was a prospect of an agreement between the Zambian government and the Lungu family. But since then, no update has come through from both sides, and it seems like they've settled on having a court battle because now it's been a month, no update has come through whether those talks have yielded any result because both parties seems to be standing on one thing and none of them seem to be willing to budge. The Longo family has simply categorically stated they do not want the presiding president, the sitting president, Hakainde Hichilema, to be anywhere near the body of Edgar Chagwa or the funeral procession. And the government of the Republic of Zambia has simply stated it cannot be a state funeral without the sitting head of state, and that is President Hakainde Hichilema. So that's back and forth, and it seems like that's one thing that neither party is willing to compromise on. As a result of that, there hasn't been really any progress coming from that end, and they've settled on having that protected court battle. And now you can imagine it's almost been a month and nothing has come off that discussion, and they have not yet even started the battle in the Supreme Court. So, which simply means by the time that they were starting this battle in the Supreme Court, this year would already have ended. We're already in October. So, let's assume mid October, this battle starts in the Supreme Court. Minimum it can run is 2 months so thereabout. That's we're already in January by then, and then that's already campaign season. So I don't know how that works out. It seems like this is not heading anywhere in terms of an out of court settlement. So wait and see how it plays out in court. So that's the update that's coming from South Africa, according to the Daily Nation. Zambia Daily Mail. They put up an update there, and obviously the Patriotic Front put up the same article. They say South Africa's Supreme Court of Appeal is scheduled to set a date for hearing in the case of Lungu. Family seeks to challenge a recent burial judgment it lost. Attorney General Mulilo Kabesha hopes that the negotiations between the government and the Lungu family regarding the prolonged burial impasse concludes so that the nation comes to a closure. So it seems like those discussions are still underway. We need to come to a closure, Mr. Kabesha said when he featured on Diamond Television Costa's program on Sunday. So there was a program that he featured on Sunday. And 3 weeks ago, you see, 3 weeks ago, the Gauteng court refused to allow the Lungu family of an appeal against its judgment, which ordered the repatriation of ex-president Lungu's body back to back home to Zambia for burial. On August 18th, the High Court ruled that the Zambian government can repatriate Lungu's remains from South Africa and give him a state funeral following the death on June 5th, 2025. Dissatisfied, the Lungu family appealed and appealed for leave against the judgment so that the burial matter can be heard in the Supreme Court of Appeal, and contending that the lower court's verdict never considered their rights. But on September 16th, the High Court dismissed the leave of application for lack of merit, prompting the Lungu family to lodge another application for leave of appeal before the Supreme Court of Appeal. So simply, they moved out of the High Court and appealed to the Supreme Court. And it's that Supreme Court hearing that is likely to take place, which has prolonged the past, I think they said 3 weeks there, and nothing has come of it. But then again, it seems like those negotiations are still ongoing in the background. But it's kind of straightforward, really, for being honest here. It's either one party is willing to compromise on that or not. If not, they might as well just continue the court battle. So there you can see. So the Daily Mail, yeah, that's where the headline was carried. Say, Lungu burial case, South Africa court set date for hearing. So we're here to start listening to new arguments with regard to this court battle as things stand. On the other hand, the grave mistake, the Dixon Jail used to be the press aide for the late president, Rupia Banda. He seems to have presidential ambitions. I think this coming general elections in 2026, he seems to be eyeing a member of parliament seat. I do not know where he intends to contest, but he says in 2031, that's after these general elections, he intends to run as president. So he put up an article of his experience. So he says, the grave mistake: for the past few weeks, I have had funerals back to back, most of them lost close friends and relatives in my boyhood, maternal neighborhood. As per custom, burial for such almost mandatory is part of the funeral standoff due to proximity of financial and logistical challenges. Only burial site option is Old Chingwere Cemetery. Most families cannot afford Memorial Park or Mitumbi, coupled with transport costs. Anyway, I did attend the burial of Simons, which I saw, and what I witnessed in Chingwere Cemetery was heartbreaking. Even though the situation is almost becoming normal, I could not stomach it. The local authorities manning the cemetery are selling burial graves on top of existing ones. All old graves have been turned into new graves by digging 3 feet on top and 6 feet graves, over 6 feet grave to which is chaotic. So simply saying they're selling graves that are well, people already buried, and that's the situation which had broken. And then he moved the conversation from those graves and brought it to the presidential graves. So he says same situation that is going on with the burial site at the Memorial Park. He says, when I become president in 2031, I will change the concept of the presidential embassy burial site. I will destroy those houses that are currently prevailing at the embassy park and only build one mausoleum. Then create over 1,000 graves for all Zambian presidents. That space is big, but we do not use it properly. We should always plan for the future. It was a grave mistake to have a huge land for one president. So he simply says, well, there's a waste of land at Embassy Park there. Instead, bring down all those individual mausoleums and then put up one big mausoleum where all the presidents can be buried with a capacity of 1,000, which will account for future presidents for a long period of time. That's according to Dixon Jere's concept if he becomes president. On the other hand, there is a debate within the UPND. General Mosquito is heard on several occasions stating to say any person that is part of the UPND right now and intends to stand as a member of parliament, councillor, at whatever level you intend to stand, and you've been a member of the UPND, and then if the party decides not to adopt you and you go independent, the party will not allow you to file in those nominations. So people now are asking to say, in what context is it going to stop individuals? Because our constitution allows people to go independent if they feel they cannot be adopted by a political party. But just for the mere fact that the person was part of the UPND and now wants to run independent, they could not allow them. So what format are they going to use? So that's a conversation. Even Ken Nombo asked there to say that's an illegality because nothing is supported in law to prevent an individual from contesting an election based off the fact that no, they are part of the UPND. But those are instructions. He issued those instructions in the presence of President Naga Indechema during the UPND meeting that was held at Mungush Conference Center recently, and also in one of the interviews, he said that. While it's John Sangwa Dorika begin to meet opposition leaders, it is good to see both John Sangwa State Council and Dorika, a new political stage, began to reach out to leaders of the opposition. It is a ecosystem. So John Sangwa seems to be very serious about this presidential race. And same thing with Dorika, that's Arupia Banda's niece. They seem to be heating up. What is the mass newspaper says the Catholic Church hakainde them as the nightmare. The Catholic Church hakainde them as nightmare. Sees it as a main obstacle to constitutional amendment, Sinkamba. So he says the main opposition that the president is facing right now is the Catholic Church. They are not in support of the new bill that is trying to pass of constitutional amendments. And according to Sinkamba, those are the main opposition. Hakainde Hichilema will lose 2026 election, says Musoni. That's another headline on that front page. And then Davis links Don't Say Confusion to PF leadership. That's in the daily revelation. Beef exports begin. Hakainde Chilema's vision to tap into the $1 billion US market comes to fruition. That's to Congo, obviously. Mass farewell for my guru, that's Mpali actor. Zambia begins beef exports to Congo, DRC. That's in the Daily Mail. And what else is in the news? PF confronts Electoral Commission of Zambia over voter registration. As the Electoral Commission of Zambia Chief Electoral Officer Brian Kasoro assures that the concerns of the Patriotic Front PF members of Parliament are receiving active attention. So there, as you may be aware, voter registration has begun, my friend, for 2026. So if you intend to participate in the elections, as a voter, you might as well get your voter's card now. And that's the news, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, that one who keeps on changing locations.
Oh,
Yes.
I know. I was supposed to sign for it?
Yes.
Exactly why people in your life can't support you. I want you to kind of take this video as motivation to keep going if you're first starting out on social media. Your biggest fan is going to be a complete stranger, and your biggest hater is going to be someone who's known you your entire